Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because, well, you want to get a handle on complex stuff without getting totally lost, right?
Exactly.
Today, we're looking at a really interesting business challenge. It's about something you probably use, maybe even daily, Google Docs. Think of this as your inside look at how this tool might be changing direction.
Yeah, we've been going through some pretty compelling material, basically excerpts from like a case study analysis.
Right.
And our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack a proposed strategy. It's one that could really shift how Google Docs works for businesses. Specifically for small and medium-sized businesses, you know, the kind you interact with all the time.
Okay, so Google Docs. Most people know the basics, right? It's part of Google Workspace. You write things, share them, work on them together.
Pretty standard stuff, yeah.
But maybe what's less obvious is Google's bigger picture. They really want to grow their footprint with businesses.
That's a really key point. Google's definitely pushing to expand in the enterprise market.
Especially now.
Especially now, yeah. With remote work, remote learning, it's become, well, even more crucial for them.
But they're not the only ones playing in this sandbox.
Oh, absolutely not. You've got the giants, Microsoft, obviously. Their Office suite, Word included, is, I mean, it's everywhere in big companies, schools.
Deeply entrenched.
Deeply. And then there's Dropbox, super popular for file sharing, particularly with smaller companies, smaller teams.
Okay, so here's where it gets interesting for our listeners. This case study we looked at, it points to a specific opening for Google, focusing on those small and medium-sized businesses, the SMBs. Apparently, Google already has some connection there.
Yeah, they do, through things like Google My Business, so there's a foundation.
Okay.
And the idea is really to build on that, leverage that existing presence.
So the goal they're talking about isn't small then?
No, not at all. The proposed goal is a significant jump in the number of businesses using their paid enterprise offerings.
And the focus is squarely on these business customers.
Exactly, by targeting these smaller companies specifically.
And how would they know if it's working? What are the metrics?
Well, the top-level ones suggested are pretty straightforward. First, the raw number of paying customers.
Makes sense.
And second, Google's overall market share percentage in that enterprise space.
Got it. So number of customers, slice of the pie.
Those are the big headline indicators, yeah. We can, dig into more granular metrics later once we look at how they might achieve this.
Okay, so let's talk about these SMBs. We're thinking like local law firms.
Accountants, financial advisors.
Real estate offices, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. The kinds of businesses that are, the backbone of local economies. What are their day-to-day document challenges? Their headaches.
That seems crucial. What are they?
It really is the core question. And when you think about their workflows, several common frustrations pop up again and again.
Like what?
Well, first, just sharing documents. Within their own teams, sure, but also with clients, right, for review, for collaboration.
Right, sending drafts back and forth.
Precisely. Then there's getting approvals, signatures, confirmations, things needed to actually complete processes for their customers.
That sounds like a bottleneck.
It often is. And after it's all done, they need reliable copies, secure storage for reference.
Security must be huge.
Oh, absolutely. Protecting confidential client information from, cyber threats is a massive concern.
And just losing stuff.
Losing documents is another big one. It means rework, potential financial hits. It's a nightmare.
And what about actually sending official documents? Is that still a thing?
Sometimes, yeah, physically mailing or maybe using specific, sometimes clunky e-platforms to submit things to official bodies.
Okay, so that's the business side. But what about the clients? Us. What are our frustrations in these processes?
Good question, because it's definitely a two-sided problem. From the client's perspective, there are pain points, too.
Like proving who you are.
Exactly. You often have to verify your identity, sometimes jumping through multiple hoops.
And the systems they make you use.
Often unfamiliar, maybe not very intuitive. Right. Yeah. Difficult to use.
Yeah.
Trust can be an issue, too. You're handing over sensitive data. Are these systems secure?
And just the repetition.
Ugh, yes. Filling out basically the same information on different forms, scanning, uploading, it can be incredibly tedious.
So lots of friction points for everyone involved.
Loads.
And this case study, it seems to zero in on one area that's particularly painful.
It does. It highlights the process of sharing information to complete tasks with third-party entities.
Like buying a house.
Buying a house, immigration processes, applying for loans, things that involve multiple parties and strict verification.
Right, those big multi-step things.
And what's really insightful is the analysis suggests that the current big players, Microsoft and Dropbox, they don't really have a perfect solution for this specific use case.
Ah, so that's the gap.
That's presented as the opportunity, yes. A chance for Google Docs to differentiate itself, to make these complex interactions smoother for everybody.
Okay, so if that's the problem space, what solutions were floated? What ideas came up?
Well, they brainstormed a few interesting angles. One major one was about integrating Google accounts more deeply with Docs.
How so?
To essentially create a kind of electronic ID, something for identity verification right within the document workflow.
Interesting.
What else? Another idea was looking at integrations, connecting Docs directly with the systems used for official procedures, immigration, loans, that sort of thing.
Streamlining the submission process.
Exactly. And a third area was helping users manage all the information needed for these processes.
Like a digital filing cabinet?
Sort of, yeah. A system to help organize and reuse procedural information securely across different applications, reducing that repetitive data entry we talked about.
Okay, 3 potential paths.
Yeah.
Did one emerge as the front runner?
Yes, it seems the analysis prioritized one in particular,
Which was?
the cyber ID concept using Google accounts.
Right, the electronic ID. Tell me a bit more about how that might actually work.
The core idea is to leverage the existing widespread Google account infrastructure. Billions of people have one.
True.
And use that to enable official document processing within Google Docs itself. So certifying identity, perhaps adding secure signatures right there.
And how does that fit with Google's broader mission?
It actually aligns quite well, you know. Google's mission is famously to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful.
Right.
This could be seen as organizing identity information in a way that makes complex processes more accessible and useful.
That makes sense. You could really see how that would simplify things like, say, onboarding a new client or finalizing an agreement.
Absolutely. Imagine securely confirming identity within the doc you're already collaborating on. It could cut out a lot of steps, a lot of hassle.
And that would definitely be something different compared to, say, just using Word or basic Dropbox.
Exactly. It offers a layer of integrated functionality that directly tackles that specific pain point around official processes and verification.
Now, whenever you talk about identity and personal data online, the big flags go up. Security, privacy.
For sure, and the case study acknowledges that. Balancing data privacy and security is obviously a massive risk and responsibility here.
But the thinking is Google can handle it.
Well, the analysis expresses confidence in Google's existing capabilities and experience in security and privacy to build something robust and trustworthy. It's certainly a challenge they'd have to nail.
Okay, so let's wrap our heads around the main recommendation then. What's the takeaway?
In a nutshell, the recommendation is develop an electronic ID feature. Leverage Google accounts for identity certification.
Inside Google Docs.
Inside Google Docs, yes. To facilitate not just collaboration, but also official document processing.
And who gets this feature?
The proposal is to make it available for Google Workspace for business plan customers initially, so targeting those SMBs we've been discussing.
And the expected payoff for Google.
The primary goals are, again, increasing the number of paying SMB customers.
Driving adoption of Workspace.
Right. And consequently, growing Google's overall market share in the enterprise productivity space.
And for the users, businesses and their clients.
For them, the hope is a significantly smoother, faster, more secure way to handle these often frustrating official processes. Less friction, less repetition.
So boiling it all down, it sounds like a pretty smart potential evolution for Google Docs, moving it beyond just, typing up reports.
Yeah, it positions it more as a central hub for important business interactions, especially for these smaller businesses.
And their clients, who often feel caught in the administrative crossfire.
Exactly. It addresses pain points on both sides by leveraging Google's strengths, the account system, their infrastructure. It seems like a potentially powerful move.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive. Lots to think about regarding where a tool like Google Docs could go.
Definitely.
So, as a final thought for everyone listening, how might this kind of integration, weaving digital identity right into document processing, how might that reshape the way professional services like your lawyer or accountant interact with you? And maybe more broadly, what implications could this have for data security and accessibility as more and more of our official lives move online. Something to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.